Hi, welcome to the video. My name is Dychronic, and today I'm taking a look at my top 15 new weapons from Season of the Seraph that I recommend you go out and farm right now. Keeping in mind that I don't have all of these weapons, in fact I have very few of these weapons, but based on what I can find online about their perk combinations, stats compared to other of the same type, and of course how unique or how unavailable this particular type of weapon has been in the past, all influence how much I want to go and get these. So I've compiled a list of my favorite 15 that I recommend to you to go and get. And most of these things can be found online, like at LightGG. We can see all the different perk combinations and stats as well as comparing it to other weapons. However, there are a bunch of them missing. For example, the dungeon weapons and of course the DSC weapons do not have all of their listed perks on them. First up on the list is going to be the new Hierarchy of Needs combat bow, the new exotic bow from the Spire of the Watcher, which can drop in the final encounter. And this one's kind of a weird one, reminds me a bit of Taku. Its special perk, Guidance Ring, precision hits and final blows build up Guidance Ring energy, and opposing guardians give you more charge. And at full charge, hip firing creates a guidance ring, which essentially just puts like a little ring portal in front of you, and when you fire through that, it tracks towards enemies, it hits multiple enemies, and it's like a little mini javelin inside of a bow, which actually looks like fun, although I've never really used it. In my opinion, it does remind me a lot of Taku and will probably function in a lot of the same way. I don't expect it to be really anything special other than just a lot of fun. Following that, we have the Luminal Vigil Sidearm, another weapon from the raid. This one in particular is an aggressive burst, which is the 2-burst stasis sidearm. Now what makes this special is the fact that it can get Desperado, which is a perk we used to only see on 340 pulse rifles, and now we're seeing it on more weapons, and now for the first time ever on a sidearm. Now I should say just in general, 2-burst and 3-burst sidearms in my opinion are better than every other type of sidearm when it comes to PvE at the very least, and the 2-bursts have some of the best DPS and kills per clip, so adding in Desperado will make that even bigger. Either way, it just seems like a lot of fun. It seems to have some pretty good stats on it, and I would recommend it. Following that, we have the Wilderflight Grenade Launcher, another weapon from the new dungeon. This one is very special. It's the first double fire frame grenade launcher. Now when I say double fire, it's basically like the lightweights, but you fire out 2 shots instead of 1. I can't say that it does double the damage as the other ones. It's most likely splitting that damage most of the way. Other than that, it's got some decent perks like Vorpal, Lead from Gold, Disruption Break. A lot of people probably really like that. Auto-loading holster, Feeding Frenzy, etc. After that, we have the Lodbrok C, which is a legendary kinetic auto rifle, the high impact frame variety. So personally, I really like the adaptive frames, but still, sometimes it's nice to look at some of these. This particular one has a lot of really good perk options: Perpetual, Demolitionist, Dynamic Sway, Kill Clip, and a new one called Target Lock. When it comes to 360 auto rifles, this one seems to be doing pretty well, and this one is a world drop, so we'll probably see it a lot. Following that, we have the Orvandil FR6, which is a legendary stasis fusion rifle, so another stasis fusion rifle in the kinetic slot, and is a high impact frame. Now, other than the fact that it's pretty standard across the board, it has something very special in the form of Chill Clip, where the top half of the magazine causes a stasis detonation and slows nearby targets. Now, personally, I think that Chill Clip is very underrated and is a lot of fun on most things you can use it, especially with weapons that you're gonna have top out of the magazine a lot of the time, as well as reconstruction, which means you'll have a much bigger mag as well. And this one is again just going to be a world drop. After that, probably one of the more popular options, the Rose Kinetic Hand Cannon, which is a lightweight frame, one of the first lightweights since they changed it. And it's still technically a 140 lightweight frame, but they just made it lightweight, which means it has superb handling and you move faster when it's equipped. And as far as perk combinations go, it has a lot of really great perk combinations. Perpetual, has rapid hit, has explosive payload, opening shot, has rangefinder, a lot of great stuff, as well as a 5th perk, which is really unfair. Instead of origin traits, it has different grip options, which can actually give it an advantage in a bunch of different ways. When it comes to stats, it's not really that far off of Fatebringer, which is going to be the go-to comparison. Although technically Fatebringer can have explosive payload plus something like Frenzy, which does get a little bit of an edge. This one being a lightweight frame does make it a bit different, and you may prefer it. And this one comes from the Crucible. Specifically, it says Glory, so it might just be Glory. Following that, one of the more popular ones these days, the Disparity, which is a legendary stasis pulse rifle of the Aggressive Burst, which is a 4-shot 450 pulse rifle. And I gotta say, the 4-burst pulse rifles are very hit and miss. Either they feel very nice, it sticks on target, it's good range, or it just doesn't feel good at all. When it comes to this weapon, it is a craftable option with a lot of really great perks on it. It's got Frenzy, it's got Headstone, it's got Kill Clip, it has Desperado, which Desperado on a 4-burst 450 might be insane. And on top of that, Rapid Hit, Pugilist, Outlaw, Moving Target, a lot of great stuff for both PvP and PvE. And this one is gonna be one of those seasonal drops, probably from the vendor or from the seasonal activities. Following that, a unique new weapon, the Judgment of Kelgaroth. This is an aggressive glaive. If you don't know, all of the previous glaives, other than the exotics, have been adaptive frame. This is the first aggressive glaive, other than the exotics obviously, can actually two-shot guardians in the Crucible, on top of obviously having a bunch of different fun perks, like Impulse Amplifier, which is really good for Crucible. Following that, we have the Exalted Truth, which is a legendary void energy hand cannon of the adaptive frame variety, and this one comes from the Trials of Osiris. So obviously, it's going to be a bit harder to get, but it's got a bunch of different perks that are very important to know. Now, first of all, it has a lot of great standard perks on it: Rangefinder, Outlaw, Rampage, Kill Clip, Frenzy. It's got a lot of really great stuff. Now, the important one I would like to point out is going to be Gut Shot Straight. And with this perk, aiming down sights increases your body shot damage and decreases target acquisition. Now, the important part about this is that target acquisition is actually really important on hand cannons, but with Gut Shot on this kind of hand cannon, you can make it so instead of it requiring 3 headshots to kill, it's 2 headshots and 1 body shot, which can really make the difference in a lot of different ways. Beyond that, the stats are somewhat close to that of the Palindrome, which is obviously the direct comparison. It is a Void 140, it also has an Adept form, and obviously we've had it for a long time. I think the Palindrome has a lot of advantages in many ways, but Gut Shot Straight makes this a different kind of option. After that, an Iron Banner weapon, we have Gnora's Axe, or at least returning for probably the 3rd time, which is a pinpoint slug frame arc shotgun. Now, what stood out to me on this one was the fact that, first of all, you can have Iron Reach and a bunch of different things to have nearly maxed out range and nearly maxed out handling in the same kind of weapon. And furthermore, it also has Volt Shot, which might be fun, but the fact you can get so much range and still have decent handling is really strong on this kind of weapon. You may already have different options that are very similar, but this one just seems like a good one if you don't. After that, we have the Akelos SMG, legendary aggressive frame arc submachine gun. This is somewhat of a fan favorite from the season because it's a craftable SMG, comes from the seasonal activities from the seasonal vendor, and obviously craftable means you can get a lot of really great stuff. Rangefinder, Volt Shot, Surrounded, tap the trigger. If you want to go with the Gut Shot Straight, Perpetual, Dynamic Sway, Threat Detector, a lot of really great stuff that does really well. Although unfortunately Seraph rounds did get nerfed, so they no longer give that 10% range bonus on top of the stuff it gave, it still overpenetrates target and gives a decent bonus as well. After that, we have the Wendigo GL3, which is going to be a heavy arc grenade launcher. This is going to be the adaptive frame variety. Now, in general, if you have a good Interference 6, you don't need to worry about this one, but if you don't, this one has pretty much all the roles you could ever possibly want. Third column has auto-loading, field prep, chain reaction, impulse, a lot of great stuff. And for the other one, a lot of damage perks like Explosive Light, a Full Court, Frenzy. You have so many different options. When it comes to DPS, if grenade launchers become DPS again, this is going to be one of the better options, again, if you don't have it already. And this one comes from the Nightfall, is probably a Nightfall unique. Following that, a new dawning weapon, the Zephyr. Now, this is technically a returning sword, and technically a lot of returning perks, and technically the Cold Steel is not really that great because it takes a lot of hits. The part that I really like about it is going to be chain reaction. Chain reaction on a sword, so any kill with that creates a little explosion, and that's kind of fun. Beyond that, it's pretty stock standard sword. And this one, again, obviously comes from the Dawning event that'll be coming out next week. And in the final spot, we have all of the DSC weapons. Currently, they're not available to look at in the API, so I can't see what possible perk options they have, or at least with the new craftable versions, because they're all now craftable. You can get Heritage, Succession, Posterity, Trusty, Bequest, and Commemoration, although I'm not a big fan of the heavy machine guns these days. And almost all of these will likely be very useful. They all have really good stats, and I will imagine they all have really good perks on them. So when DC comes around for grinding, for getting those pinnacles, I'd recommend going in and doing it. And of course, let me know in the comments down below if there's certain weapons that you think I missed from this list. Obviously, there's like 40 new weapons, and of course, why you think they're going to be amazing. And as always, a big thank you to some of my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom, Dad, Kip Shaw, Rob Schreier, Monday, Marcus, Unit Panther, Case Reagan, and Marcus Lever for their support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys in the next one.